My name's Dawn Nelson and I'm an author and professional storyteller. You'll find me telling stories as DD Storyteller, and all through August I'm inviting you to join me for stories from Adventures in Nature. This book is published through the History Press and written by myself. It has 48 stories in it and 48 corresponding activities. So what I'm doing all the way through August is I'm going to tell you a story from the August chapter of the book, and then I'm going to invite you to join in with the activity. And then if you do that, if you join in with the activity yourself and you share it on social media, either on Instagram or Facebook, hashtag it Adventures in Nature Book, then I will enter your name, your handle, your account into a giveaway to win a copy of my book. And there are 3 chances to win. So I do hope you'll join me to do that. So what is this week's story? Well, August, as some of you may know, is the celebration of Lammas at the very beginning of August. That's in the old wheel of the year that our ancestors used to follow. Now, Lammas is all about the harvest and the wheat in the field. So this Sunday's story is about just that. It's about a mouse who lived in a windmill. If you follow me across the fields and along past the babbling brook, eventually you will come to a windmill. All day long its sails turn, and it's hard work for the windmill, for the miller works it hard. The miller, well, he's very interested in how much money he makes from the windmill. So he doesn't really look after the windmill very much. Doesn't do it very well. He doesn't really oil the cogs properly or give it a rest, really, so that it doesn't wear out. And when the cogs do need replacing, he leaves it to the very last minute before he does. It makes the windmill very, very tired. But the miller is happy because he makes the maximum, the most amount of flour that he can, the grain that he can, and makes it into flour, and then he can give it to the baker, and the baker makes lots of bread for all the villagers. So, well, they make money and they're happy. Now, underneath the cogs and the workings of the windmill, there lives a tiny little mouse. Now, this little mouse spends all his day looking for food, and you'd think that would be probably quite easy given that it's a windmill and there's lots of corn and wheat and everything that comes in and out of there, but it's not. The little mouse, well, the miller is so tidy, he's so frugal, he's so careful to tidy up all the little bits and make sure that they're all made into flour that there's very little left for the little mouse. He's always got a bit of a rumbly tummy, to be honest. And one day when the mouse is searching around underneath the windmill in all the cogs and the whirring and the tick, 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 as the windmill goes round, he hears a sigh from the windmill. Oh, I do so wish I could have a break at some point, says the windmill. And if it'd just be shown a little appreciation, a tiny bit of oil on my cogs, or replace the one that's almost broken. The mouse hears this plea, and he feels sorry for the windmill, and he sees that they could be, well, of help to each other. And so he calls up to the windmill and he says, "Windmill, I have an idea. You see, there is never enough corn for me to eat, and I'm always very hungry, and, well, the miller doesn't look after you properly, I can see that from here. What I could do is I could take one of the tiny cogs down here, one of the cogs that would be very difficult for the miller to work out which one it was. I'll take it, and that will mean that you don't work anymore. And so then the miller will have to oil all the cogs and have to work out what's going on. And eventually he'll wonder where the cog is. And perhaps we can hold him to ransom," said the little mouse. "Oh," said the windmill, "that sounds like a good idea." And so it was agreed. The little mouse found the perfect cog and he took it away to his little house. Well, of course, eventually, tick, 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 the windmill did stop turning. What was the miller going to do? He got on his hands and knees in the cog room looking for all the different cogs and trying to work out which was which. And he did go around with his oil and he's oiling every single one, trying to work out which one's not working properly. And then, because like I say, this is a very clever miller, and he's very concerned about what might go missing and what is his property. He sees that there's a little cog missing. And he goes, "Oh, how did that happen?" It's a little voice from down in the corner. "Are you looking for this?" says the mouse with the cog. "What?" says the miller. "You have the cog? You little mouse?" "Yes, and well, the windmill and I, we took it, and we have a little deal for you, a little bargain." "Don't be ridiculous, I don't bargain with mice," said the miller. "Give me that cog back." And he lunged forward to try and take the cog, but the mouse was quick, and he backed back into his little house. "Come out and give me that cog," said the miller. Little mouse shouted from inside. He said, "Not until you oil the cogs on the windmill and start looking after the windmill properly, and you leave me a little bit of food every day." "Well, that's not going to happen," said the miller. And he stormed off into the kitchen to see his wife. He said, "Will you believe the cheek of it, as a little mouse has stolen the cog from the windmill which has stopped its turning, and I am not buying another cog when I know there's a perfectly good one in that mouse hole, and I can't get it out." "Well, it's simple," said the miller's wife. "Just buy a mouse trap. That'll get rid of the mouse, and, well, then you can get back the cog, can't you?" "Good idea," said the miller. And so, instead of spending the money on the cog, he went and bought a mouse trap. He went and put the mouse trap underneath the windmill. Now, the mouse, he knows what a mouse trap looks like. He's not silly. And whilst the miller was asleep, he pulled the mouse trap into his bedroom, and he attached it just underneath the miller's big hairy toe, so that when the miller snored and snuffled and woke up and moved his foot, yow! The mousetrap snapped down on his toe. "Well, that didn't work, did it?" said the miller's wife. "Why don't you get a cat?" "Good idea," said the miller, who was now hobbling around, as you might imagine, and his pride was fairly hurt, probably more so than his toe, but it had hurt a lot. So he went and got a cat. But of course, because the miller is, well, he's a bit mean, isn't he? He doesn't really want to spend his money. Well, because of that, he didn't feed the cat. Because he thought if he left the cat hungry, then the cat will eat the mouse, won't it? Didn't happen. The cat just got fed up. The cat got so fed up that it didn't have any food, that it ran off and went into the village to find somebody who was going to look after it and was going to feed it properly. Well, that was the last straw for the miller. He went down to the cog room and he stood with his hands on his hips and he said, "Mouse, mouse, come out!" Little mouse came out. He said, "Are you ready to deal, miller?" "I suppose I am," said the miller. "Where is that cog?" Well, the little mouse, he brought out the cog. And he said to the miller, "You have to agree to feed me every day just a couple of ears of corn and look after the windmill." Yes, okay, no problem." And so it was that the miller got the cog back. And, well, he was a bit less mean to the windmill. And he did oil the cogs, and he did make sure he looked after the windmill, and he did buy more cogs for the windmill. And, well, if he ever forgot to do that, well, then the mouse would just leave a cog next to his breakfast dish, just as a little reminder that that's what the mouse could do if he didn't leave corn for him and he didn't look after the windmill. And if the miller ever thought that he might get clever and go and buy some spare cogs in case the mouse did it again, well, the mouse just kept stealing them until eventually the miller went back to feeding them and looking after the windmill. So, you see, a clever little mouse and a very tired windmill still got the better of a mean old miller. I hope you enjoyed that story. So, our activity for this Sunday is a craft project, which is in the book here, and it will tell you how to make a yoghurt pot windmill. For our activity, we went to visit a local windmill because it's just wonderful to be able to see a real windmill working. And I've put together a little video of our trip and a little blog post for you to look at. So you can find that across on my blog via my website, ddstoryteller.co.uk. So I hope to see you joining in with the windmill activities. I'd love to see if you go and see a real windmill, if you've been to see a real windmill, or if you make the craft that's either in the book or a different sort of windmill. You might make a pinwheel, for example. So let me know if you do those. Don't forget to tag me at dd_storyteller or at ddstoryteller on either Instagram or Facebook, and hashtag it Adventures in Nature Book. I'll see you again soon. Toodle pip.